Hello and welcome to Empire Builders, the place for entrepreneurs, business owners and experts who want to build an epic empire. I'm Nick James and thanks for joining me here today.
So I've got a little bit of time now, a bit of space. Matt's actually asked me to come and do a session for you, which I've never done before, because when it comes to sales and closing, I don't really teach that stuff because we have the Elite Closing Academy and Matt and the ECA team teach sales and closing. And he was like, at the Sales and Closing Super Conference, I'd like you to do a session on sales and closing. I was like, I don't really have anything to teach other than what you've taught me, so I don't really know. And he went, look, just share the best of what you know. Like, how have you done what you've done? Have you made 30 million revenue over your career? Like, what have you done? And what I decided to do was put it into a format of, there are a few mistakes. There's only really 5 mistakes that I see people making time and time again. Mistakes that I've made as well in the past that prevent them from making more sales. In fact, I'd say these mistakes really are the things that lose us sales. And when I say loser sales, I'm talking about sales that you could have made that you lost. Raise your hand if you know you're losing sales by definition. You could have made the sale, but you lost it because you made a mistake. You screwed it up. You said the wrong thing, something like that. Raise your hand nice and high. Yeah. We all do it. We all make mistakes and lose sales. I believe, let me ask you this question. Who's got, in your business right now, who's got problems, challenges, issues? You can name them what you want. Let's just call them problems. Who's got a problem or multiple problems in your business right now? Okay. Of course you have. We all have. That's part of being in business. I don't know a business owner that doesn't. If you've not got any problems in your business, I want to learn from you. Teach me how. But I believe that all problems can actually be solved with sales. If you really think about it, in business, if you've got a problem or problems, most of the time, that problem or those problems could be solved, this sounds really vulgar, with money. Like, if you've got a problem in your business, a gap that needs filling, if you've got enough capital, you can hire someone to solve the problem, or you can pay an agency that's got expertise. Most problems can be solved with money. How do you get more money? You make more sales. So for me, sales equals cash, equals choices, equals solutions, equals the freedom that you want. So I've worked out, or I've come together, I've created 5 reasons why you might be losing sales. The first one, I already kind of spoke about in one of my sessions over the last couple of days, which is that most people, most business owners, most entrepreneurs, most salespeople don't follow up as consistently or as thoroughly as they could. Raise your hand if you know you're guilty of not following up as consistent. I haven't even finished asking the question yet. You're guilty of not following up as consistently or thoroughly as you could. Raise your hand nice and high if you know that you're guilty of that. So what I want to do in this session is go a little bit deeper and go, why? Why? Why don't we? Why don't we follow up with opportunities, with inquiries, with people that have said, yeah, I'm interested? Why don't we follow up more consistently, more thoroughly? Just shout out some of the reasons. Why don't we do it? Okay, so this is why, not why they don't buy, but why you don't follow them up. Is it because you're not ready? Oh, so you're not ready. Okay, cool. So you don't feel that you've got the things in place you need to have to make the sale. Okay, yeah, I'll go with that. I'm not ready. What else? There was about 17 then. I can't. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to say wrong priorities. I'm going to say different priorities or other priorities. Not necessarily wrong, just different. Other priorities. What else? Shout them out. Rejection. Fear of rejection. Yep. You know what? I'm just going to put fear. Any kind of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure. It could be just like fear of something. It's fear of a feeling, isn't it? It's fear of something happening which gives you a feeling. You want to avoid that feeling, so you avoid the sales conversation. What else? Why else wouldn't you follow up?
Don't like the lead enough.
You don't like
the lead enough.
You don't like the lead, the person.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't like the person. All right. By the way, If you don't like the person, like I'm not standing here saying you follow up with every lead, because if you go, I actually don't think this person or this opportunity or this potential client's a good fit, I wouldn't follow up with that person if they're not a good fit. But that might be a reason. Yeah, what else? So you are making an assumption, we'll call it assumptions, about their ability to afford it. Matt said it in his opening keynote, I think, or it might have been in his session yesterday. Like, raise your hand if you've ever lied to a salesperson. A lot of times when somebody says they can't afford it, what they're really saying is they don't see the value. They don't see that the value your product or service gives is worth the financial investment, so they say, I can't afford it. The truth is, I know this is going far, if their child needed a life-saving operation, they wouldn't say, I can't afford it. They'd get resourceful, they'd find a way, they'd raise the money. I'm not suggesting that your product or service is akin to life-saving surgery for their child, but you get the point, right? We're making assumptions that they can't afford it, and unless you've seen their bank statements, you don't know. And my guess is you haven't seen the bank statements, so it's an assumption. Why else don't we follow up? What else? Yeah, we're disorganised, right? So you've got like a notepad with names and phone numbers, and you've got post-it notes, and they fall down the back of the desk, and you've got a note on your phone about somebody else, and you've got leads in your Instagram, and you've got WhatsApp messages and texts, and it's just, you're disorganised, so you're not going to get through all of it, are you? So yeah. By the way, when I said all that, who could resonate with that? Like you went, yeah, I've got leads all over the place, yeah. Disorganised, I like that, Nicola. What else? Lack of system, so I'm going to say disorganised. In other words, lack of system, yes? Say again? Don't have customers. So yeah, you don't follow up, you ain't got anyone to follow up. Okay, yeah, that could be a reason. Assuming you've got opportunities, why else don't we follow up? Was that just a heckle? Or I think what you're saying is you don't want to annoy the person. You don't want to be a pest, yeah? You don't want to be annoying. By the way, raise your hand if you've ever had a salesperson be annoying, pester you and all that, right? So we go, oh, I don't want to become that, so we won't follow up because we don't want to pester them. We don't want to be annoying. Any others? You're in your own way, so yeah, that could be any of these things are problem. By the way, there's a theme here. Are any of these things about the person or the opportunity or the lead or the potential client? Who are they all about? Yeah, 100%. It's all about you, right? You're the reason why you're not following up more consistently, more effectively. So reason number one, I think why people are losing sales is a lack of follow-up. And, there's some great tools. Keep, of course, being one that I talk about a lot that will help you automate a lot of follow-up. The way that I explain this concept is with any task in your business, and follow-up is a task, either automate or delegate. Automate where possible, delegate where necessary. If you can get technology, a system, a process to follow up for you, fantastic. Because by the way, what's great about automated email follow-up or WhatsApp follow-up, you know what's great about it? It doesn't feel rejection. Keep doesn't feel rejection. It is a software. It's not capable of emotion. So if you automate some of this, then you remove a lot of that. If you delegate some of it, raise your hand if you've got a sales team or you've got other people in your business that make sales for you, okay? So if you've got a sales team or other people in the business that make sales for you, it's down to you to get them trained so that they don't fall into any of these traps. So automate where possible, delegate where necessary, because some of the follow-up can't be done by software. It can't be done automatically. It requires a human. And I think a lot of the work that Matt does, which is brilliant, works in and around this. It overcomes a lot of this stuff so that you can get the kind of results like Harpreet shared earlier. So number one reason is you don't follow up effectively. I mean, I told the story. I won't retell it yesterday, or was it the day before? Like the last 2 days have just been a blur. I talked about the Audi dealership. It was Thursday, wasn't it? The Audi dealership. I went in and they didn't take my details. And then they did take my details and they didn't follow me up. They didn't email me and it was frustrating. I went and bought a car from somewhere else. We've all got versions of that in our business. Reason number 2. So reason number 1, why you're losing sales is you're not following up consistently or thoroughly. Reason number 2, John actually alluded to this already. Your offer's crap. Your offer's crap. It's not compelling enough to get someone to want to take the action. So whenever we make an offer, whenever we have a conversation, whether you're selling one-to-many as John demonstrated on stage, or whether you're on a Zoom call or a phone call, whether it's on a website and people can purchase your product or service there, we have to create a form of urgency. John put it brilliantly. I couldn't have done it any better myself. You've got the core offer, the thing that you sell. Then you might include like bonuses as an incentive or a reason to purchase, add value in, and then something to incentivize, reward someone for taking the action. What I'd add to this is making sure that there's clear, defined conditions to the offer. Case in point, over the last 2 days, some of you have enrolled in our mastermind. Thank you. I'm excited to work with you. What did I do or we do to create urgency? How did we do it? Who can tell me? There were bonuses. What were the bonuses? So the mastermind's the core product, the core program. You're buying the program mastermind. What were the bonuses? So there was, first of all, when you enroll whilst you're here, you get a place at our 3-day mastermind intensive. It's £1,250 to attend. You get that for free. That's a bonus. That's a thank you for doing it while you're here. The second bonus was for the first 15 people that enroll, we'll also give you a place at our retreat, which is £5,000 per person to attend if you're in the first 15 to apply and enroll. And then I said, oh, and by the way, fast action. If you're quick, if you're one of the first 10, you get a joint venture with me where I'll promote you and your business out to my audience of 80,000 people. So these were some of the things we do to create urgency. The key, though, is to have clear, defined boundaries for it. So in my case, it was first 15, first 10. A lot of you don't know this because you weren't in the session, but in the discovery session out there, I said first 5, you're going to get 12 months direct access to me as well as a bonus. So we're stacking the value in to make it more urgent for someone to take action. The other way of doing that is to put a deadline of a time and a date on it. So maybe you're selling online. If you're selling online, it's a little bit different. You can still do bonuses for first X number of people, but I find that when you're doing it online, because it's a bit invisible, isn't it? And you can't live update, really. So when you're doing something online, I'd just say, hey, this offer, here's what you get, here are the bonuses. It could be, here's a discount. That kind of works well if you're selling online. The offer expires this time, this day. So, for example, the tickets to the Next Expert Empires event, which we've given you a really special offer for, that offer expires at midnight tonight. It's the same offer. There's no special bonuses for if you're in the first 100 or 50 or whatever. It's just, that's your deal because you were here at Expert Empires and you've got until midnight tonight to get the deal. After midnight tonight, it's disappeared forever. So that's another way of making the offer more compelling. So a lot of you, I know that your products, your services are brilliant. Am I right? But is there anyone here that's got a really crap product or service that you're embarrassed about? I didn't think so. So like you've got great products, great services, they add loads of value. The problem is we're all guilty of this. We are so convinced that our product or our service or our program is world class, but that feeling, that belief is not getting transferred to the person we're having a conversation with. And so in order to create that feeling of urgency, we can give additional bonuses, we give deadlines, we make special offers. You might not want to discount. With things like tickets to events, we discount for this period of time, but we never discount our mastermind programs because we don't want to devalue them. So there's a number of ways that we can do this to make the offer more compelling. Third reason the third reason why you're losing sales. And I'm going to revert back to what I shared on day one. So remember on day one, this feels like 3 weeks ago, doesn't it? We talked about different personality styles. We talked about how different people make different decisions. Raise your hand if you were stood in this corner over here. So you lead with dominance. You make decisions from a place of dominance. Okay. Raise your hand if you were in the back left corner. You make decisions from a place of influence. Raise your hand if you were back right corner as I look at it. You make a decision based on steadiness or safety or security. Not many. They've all gone home. We scared them. Raise your hand if you're in this corner. You make decisions from a place of compliance or conscientiousness. Okay, cool. So regardless of which corner you stood in, our natural tendency is to sell in the way that we like to be sold to. We're unconsciously assuming that everybody thinks and acts like we do. And that's a problem. Now, I'm firmly stood in this corner. So if you want to sell to me, I'll make a quick decision. I'm like a salesperson's dream. I'll make quick decisions because all I've got to do is I've got to see the result. If I can see that the investment is X and the result is Y and I believe that to be true, I'm in. I'll make a quick decision. That's my nature. But if I go and assume that everyone decides and makes purchases based on that criteria, like I do, I'm missing out on 75% of the potential sales that I could be making. So I have to change how I interact in a sales conversation in order to hit all of the other points. So yes, of course, we want to talk about what's the result, how do you know you're going to get it, speak to the people that stood in this corner, the high dominance people. But we also want to speak to people about what impact they're going to make on the world as a result of this purchase. How are they going to feel? How are they going to command more influence as a result of this purchase for these people here? We also need to make sure that these people here, who we've all scared off, feel safe. One of the reasons why, when we make our mastermind offer, yes, we've got bonuses and rewards for people acting quick, but we give time and space. The reason why I always make an offer or a pitch early on in my trainings is because I know that not everyone works like I do. Some people need to think about it. Some people need to sleep on it. Some people need to make sure that it feels safe, these people over here. And so we want to make sure that they've got that time, that space in order to make a decision in their own time. If I just assume that everyone makes quick decisions like I do, I'm going to lose those people. And then finally, you've got the people that need structure, process, data. So when I talk about Mastermind, we've got our 4 phases of growth, and you can see there's different features and benefits for different programs. I give data like the average business in the UK grew 4% last year. The average Mastermind member grew by 31%. This is all. I never used to include that kind of data because, quite frankly, to me as a buyer, it makes no difference. But to these people, it does. So when we're forming our sales pitch, how we put together the offer, we have to consider all 4 of these. And so the reason a lot of you are losing sales is because you're assuming that everyone else buys like you do. By the way, it's the same in leadership. If you're managing and leading people and you assume that everybody is motivated by the same things that you are, that they make decisions the same way that you do, you'll only ever be able to lead people just like you. It's why I've naturally always been better at leading salespeople, because I am one. And I have to be mindful of that and do my best to be evolved and think carefully about how the other people in my company need me to lead them. Number 4, 4th reason why you're losing sales is you're not asking the right closing question. And this afternoon, Ned's going to do a session where a lot of what he's going to cover is about asking the right questions. But I'm going to give you one little bit here. Funny story. Pre-COVID, so we're probably going back to 2019, Matt and I were attending a conference in the US. Big conference, thousands of people there. And they had, one of the programs that they offered was a mastermind. And this is like a high-level mastermind for, you have to already be doing 7 figures in annual revenue just to get into the mastermind. And I had a multi-7-figure business, and I was actually in the market for a mastermind. I even went up to their stand and I said, hey, I'm interested in mastermind. What information can you give me? And let's just say that what they did over the following 2 days, not only did it not have me choose to enroll, but it actually moved me away from it. Like the process for me didn't work. It was broken. So we're at this conference. The conference finishes. I haven't enrolled. And afterwards, me and Matt are sat in the bar. Well, it wasn't in the hotel. It was a bar nearby where the conference was happening. And let's just say that the conference finished at about 2 p.m. on the final day. And by this, it was about 8, 9 p.m. By this point, Matt and I have had quite a few drinks. And Matt doesn't get drunk very easily. But I do. I'm a proper lightweight. So we've probably had the same amount to drink, but I'm getting a lot looser with my tongue than he is. So I'm talking with Matt, and there's a few of the people that have attended the conference, and I'm going, like, their sales process is shit. Like, I went up to the stand, I had this conversation, the salesperson said this, they were rubbish. All they would have had to do is this, and they would have had my money. By the way, the program's like 40 grand. All they would have had to do is this, they would have had my money. And I was proper laying into them. To people that were just, I was talking to Matt, but there was a few other people around, we were having a conversation. One of the people there was actually one of the owners of the company. I guess you could call it feedback, but I wasn't intending it in that way, so I wasn't giving it in the most constructive of manners. So he came up to me and he said, can I have a quick chat? And by the way, I am half cut at this point. Like I'd had too much to drink. And he was like, right, what you said, I want to hear more. Tell me exactly what happened. And he was like, what would you have done? Like, somehow I think I was making some sense, even though I was half cut. And he was like, what would you have done? And I told him, and he went, so, like, how do you think you could help us do that? And I went, well, actually, because I realised that I was probably not making that much sense. I went, you probably need to speak to this guy, Matt, because, well, first of all, he's going to be able to speak more eloquently than I can. And he's my business partner. He co-owns the sales training company that we run. Long story short, they ended up hiring us to go out to the next conference and run the sales operation for them. We get out there, and one of the owners, they had like a stand like we've got. And so there was myself, Matt, and I think we took 3 of our team over to run the sales operation for them. One of the owners was at the stand with us. And we'd worked really hard for like 3 days. We'd done really well on sales for them. They were really pleased. And one of the owners was there having a conversation with a potential client. And I heard him ask, are you joining us? And I was like, what is he doing? Why is he asking that question? So the reason I tell you that story is because, and Ned's going to go into this in more detail later, questions that bring no into play, are you, can you, do you, anything like that, they're just not helpful in a sales conversation. So one of the reasons you're losing sales is you're not asking the right closing questions. So Matt's got something he teaches in his 3-day training called the golden question. I'm going to expand it and give you my golden questions. So whenever I'm in a sales conversation, I'll use Mastermind as an example. There's 3 questions I ask in order to close a deal. The first question is, which program do you think is going to get you the best result? Because obviously we've got 4 different Mastermind programs. So I need to first of all identify which program they're looking at buying. Which program do you think is going to get you the best result? Now, it's not necessarily this question, then the next one, then the next one. The second question that I will ask is, which payment option would you like to go for? So people pay a deposit and monthly payments. They might pay a 1-year membership. They might pay a 2-year membership. Which payment option are you going for? And then the third question is, what card would you like to use to make the payment? That's it. Simple. Not, are you joining us? Not even, I used to ask this question, how would you like to pay? That leaves it really open. What card do you want to use? Much better question. So, which program do you think will get you the best result, or which program would you like to join? Which payment option would you like to go for, and what card do you want to use? Straightforward, simple questions that make it easy for the person to answer them in a way that moves them elegantly to be closed. Make sense, yes or no? All right. And reason number 5 why you might be losing sales. This is, it's actually a technical mistake, but I can't believe how many people make it. I learned this lesson the hard way years and years ago. The 5th reason you're losing sales is you're not collecting the money at the point of making the close. So when I first started my business in 2008, I lived in Cyprus, and I was providing services to clients where I would write their email campaigns, their sales letters, their marketing materials for them. And because I was based in Cyprus and most of my clients were in the UK, I was making sales over the phone, or do you remember Skype? Skype, before Zoom came about, right? So I'd have like a phone call or a Skype call, showing you how old I am and how long ago this was. I'd have a Skype call with somebody, and we'd have the conversation and we'd spec out the project, and then I'd say, here's how much it is, and they'd go, yep, sounds great. And then I'd go, okay, so I'll send you a PayPal. I was taking all the payments by PayPal. I'll send you a PayPal invoice, and then they make the payment, right? And I had quite a good start in this business, and I remember I did a joint venture, a collaboration with somebody, and I managed to get from their little partnership, they emailed out and told their clients about me. I managed to get 8 people on phone calls or Skype calls to say yes. So I sent 8 PayPal requests, and we only got 3 paid. So I lost 5 sales because I didn't have an efficient way of collecting the money. And so the advice that I've always given, and I still give to this day to my clients, is have a way, find a way, get a way of collecting payment on a credit or debit card. I can't stress it enough. And the counter argument is, what about the fees? If it's 2% of every transaction, if I make 100 grand in sales this year, I'm going to give £2,000 away to the merchant, Stripe, or whoever it might be. That's true. But to me, 2% of 100 grand is better than keeping 100% of 50 grand. If it's going to lose you half your sales, why would you not do that? So I am very strongly against sending invoice via email, waiting for the money to land in the bank account. The exception would be if it's particularly high ticket and there's already a depth of relationship with the client or customer. That would be my only exception. But if it's the first purchase, if you follow this advice, it is saving you a lot of pain and disappointment. I've experienced a lot of pain and disappointment early in my career where I made a sale. By the way, who likes making sales? Raise your hand if you like the feeling of making a sale. But I tell you what's worse, when you think you've made a sale and then you haven't. That pain is worse than the pain of getting a no, in my experience, because you get your hopes up, don't you? So I'd strongly suggest you get some sort of facility to take debit card, credit card payments. Stripe's probably the easiest one to get and use, but there's loads out there. That isn't an endorsement of Stripe. They also just put a 90-day 10% hold on my account, so I hate them at the moment. Yeah, I know. They've got a lot of my money just sat there. But still, I go, I'll get the money in 90 days, which is still better than going, everybody pay me by bank transfer and losing half the sales because then people don't send me the money. And, especially when you're doing sales at scale, following up, chasing the invoices, checking the bank to make sure it's being collected, then registering or logging that payment in your CRM, all of that is time and effort. And I actually think for a couple of percent, it's worth having the payment facility. So that isn't a tip for, it's not really a sales and closing tip, but it is because the sale or the close is not complete until money has landed. It just isn't. And if anyone thinks anything different, you're kidding yourself. Was there a question? Somebody had the hand up. Yes. What do you do B2B? let's talk corporates, shall we? Because, by the way, my clients are all business owners, so I am B2B. But I think you mean bigger organisations. What about bigger organisations? This is a whole 1 hour talk in itself. I'll give you a short version. I don't really deal with corporates or big organisations, but that's by choice because I like working with entrepreneurs, with small business owners. I can have a bigger impact more quickly. I can give you some advice today, you implement it tomorrow and get a result. In a corporate, I give them advice today and 3 to 6 months later, they've still done nothing with it because they're trying to get it approved by all the different departments. I hate that. And how they pay is also similar as well. But I'll tell you a quick story. So this was, I'm going to guess, 2017, I think. And one of my clients is an executive coach, and he was coaching the CEO of let's just say it's a very well-known high street clothing retailer. And he was coaching the CEO. And they were having some problems with their marketing, and he was like, you just need to get Nick in. You just need to get Nick in. He'll speak with your marketing team. He'll tell you like what you're doing wrong, how you can do it better. Like, he's your man. So the CEO goes to the marketing director and goes, we want to get this guy in. Now, straight away, the marketing director's got his nose put out of joint because his job is to do a great, build marketing campaigns and get them lots of sales and lots of eyeballs. And clearly the CEO thinks he's failing and he thinks, I can do a better job. So the marketing director's not my biggest fan, straight out the gate, right? So I speak with the marketing director and I speak with the key decision makers. And I'm like, right, so the first thing is we do half a day where I will sit down with you and I'll look at everything you do in your marketing. I'll make some suggestions, some recommendations. If after that half a day you want to retain me as a consultant or you want to pay me to do some of the work for you, then we can have that conversation. But the initial thing's half a day. They said, sounds great. So if you come down to London, we'll do the half day. And then afterwards, if we want to work with you, then we can talk about payment. But they weren't looking to pay me for this half day. I went, I'm going to stop you there. They go, that's not how we do things. I was like, okay. Well, it's also not how I do things. So here's how I do things. If you want half a day of my time, you're going to pay my day rate or my half day rate, which at the time was $2,500. So I was like, so you pay me $2,500 for half a day, and then we'll go from there. And they were like, yeah, well, we don't really do that. And I was like, well, and by the way, for half a day, they were going to have to come to my office in Birmingham. And they were like, well, our office is in London and the staff are in London, so that doesn't really work for us either. Will you come to London? I'm like, I will, but that's a day because I've got travel. So now it's $5,000. Anyway, in the end, they were like, yeah, like that's not how we do it. I was like, okay then, fine. So the reason I tell you this is, first of all, when people deal with large organisations, corporates, the way they do business or the way they show up is, the best way I can describe it is by showing you. Please, large corporate organisation, please give my tiny little business some crumbs of your money, I'm begging you. And that just doesn't work because straight away you're giving all the power to the other person, the other organisation. If you can show up, I didn't care, I didn't really need the work, I would have liked it, but I didn't need it. If you can show it from a place of authority, it changes the dynamic completely. They don't know what to do with it. And I was comfortable walking away, which I did. So then, about a month later, my client has spoken to the CEO, goes, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this guy, it's $5,000. This guy could add millions of pounds to your business and you won't pay $5,000. So anyway, he coached him. And in the end, they agreed to pay me to go down to London and my travel and everything. And I went, did half a day with them, advised them what I would do, and we never did business again because they didn't do anything with it. Invoice terms, they were like, yeah, we pay 30 days. I'm like, well, we've got the time booked in next week. I ain't getting on a train until I've been paid. So do what you want. And magically, they were able to fast track the payment of the invoice. But it was because I was coming from a place of, I don't care. I don't need the business. I'm not desperate for the business. I'm like, these are my terms, take them or leave them. So I think a lot of times these big corporates, the organisations of size, they have policies, but know that when the reason is strong enough, they can work around those policies. And I think if you maintain that belief, you'll end up with a much better outcome, a much better result in your sales interactions. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much for listening to Empire Builders. Please subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify, on other platforms, and share the love, tell your friends. Remember, till next time, the more you connect, the more you collect.